So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Thanks for joining this instance of the Antrea community meeting. Today, this is the last meeting for October, which let's say the pre-Halloween edition of the Antrea community meeting, which happens on Tuesday, October the 25th for Europe and China, and Monday, October 24th for the United States. And for today, we don't have much on the agenda, but we have a discussion proposed by Hongliang about having a more fine-graded updates for Antrea proxy, and the reference issue, which I'm sharing on the chat, is issue 4291. Say that, I will let Hongliang provide the details. Please go ahead.
Well, thanks, Sabato. Let's share the screen. Okay, could you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Okay, just let's start. For this topic, I have two motivations. First, I think it can avoid unnecessary updates for OR flows, rules, or IP sets, or Windows .NET for service. Another motivation is for this design, I could refactor the code of proxy, and it can be more clear. For current design, as we know, for service, it has the attributes listed. Of course, not all service has all these attributes. For example, for load balancer, for class IP, it doesn't have grass IPs or external traffic policy. In current design, when one or more attributes for service are updated, then corresponding flows, IP sets, and routes for the service should be will be removed first, and then reinstall it. During this process, there are some unnecessary updates in current design. I have two cases. For the first cases, maybe it's not it's not a very normal case, but I take it for example. Update the attribute class IP for notebook service. In current design, we know that the installed flows are these two flows. I have simplified the flow accent because it's too long. I just simplify. We can see the flows and IP sets listed this. But when we update the attribute class IP from one IP to another IP for this node port service, maybe it's not very normal. But in current design, we will remove all flows and IP set entries for this will be removed. Will be all removed, and we will reinstall the flows and the IP set entries like this. As we can see, and the only flows that should be updated is this one, and because it starts the change of class IP, not other attribute like node port. As a result, it's unnecessary to update the flows and the IP sets and the IP set entries colored in orange. For another case, maybe it's not very normal. We just updated. Sorry. Maybe this case is normal. It's a normal case. We just updated the node pod attribute for node pod service. we can see that we only need to update the IP side entries and the flows related to the node port. For cluster IP flows, as we don't change the cluster IP for the node port, we don't need to uninstall the flow and reinstall it. Okay, that's the motivation. For the new design, I have listed all attributes for service and corresponding updates. For cluster IP, when it is updated, cluster IP and the routes should be listed, should be updated. For port, sorry, I didn't. I prepared this slide in hurry, and maybe it's not the same as the issue link. For these attributes, I think only related flows, routes, or IP sets should be updated. No need to uninstall them all and then reinstall them. It's unnecessary. I also made a procedural code. We can this is the install services function. If in this new design we can have clear code structure. We need to get if some these flows, IP sets, or routes should be updated. Then we according to these flags, we update the flows, routes, or IP sets. Okay, that's all. Any questions?
Well, I just want to mention that some attributes of a service are immutable. For example, cluster IP, you can never change cluster IP once it's set. So some of the effects may be not useful.
That's a good question.
Can cluster IP be set to none?
Sorry.
Then Can cluster IP be set to none after it's sent?
In Antrea proxy, we don't process the cluster IP with none. It's a headless service. It's a headless service without cluster IP.
Yes, I guess that. For example, if cluster IP originally is none, and then it's set to not none. I'm not sure this is allowed in Kubernetes API. Maybe you can validate.
In current design, we also don't process the non-cluster IP, I think.
Okay.
In any way, it seems that it can be updated or set to a user desired value according to the Kubernetes API. Yeah.
Pardon?
So you can set cluster IP to your own value when you create the service, but then the API specification states that this field may not be changed through updates unless the type field is also being changed to external name, or the type field is being changed from external name. So let's say that you should not be able to update the cluster IP. Yeah, that's
in the case that if someone really updates the type to external name altogether, maybe we need to also delete all the rules related to the class IP.
that's right.
Yeah.
I think so.
Maybe we can discuss it offline. I don't have very sorry.
But I think that it does not change the value, of the presentation or of the feature that you're going to implement, because it's just that specific use case where a cluster IP is updated, it's probably not going to be supported, but all the other use cases, I believe, make sense. Out of curiosity, do we have also to worry about endpoint updates and do some changes when there are endpoint updates, or those are not important because those are just part of the groups, right?
For this one, we need to update endpoint group sometimes. For example, for load balancer, when the external traffic policy and the internal traffic policy are the same, we just need one group. When they change the one header, for example, we change the external traffic policy to false to true. Anyway, they are not the same. Then we need another group, one group for just the local endpoints, another group for all endpoints.
Understood.
And this change will need to update endpoint. We don't need. Let me see. We don't need to in this case, maybe we also need to add some flows for remote endpoint. For the beginning, assume that all external and the external traffic policy and the internal traffic policy are both local. Then remote endpoint flows are not and we don't need to install remote endpoint flows, but we change the one from local to cluster. Then we need another group and this group and the flows to remote endpoint.
Okay, thanks.
Well, Hongliang, could you show what the code look like to express this table? That do you have one flag for each for each column and one function for each row?
Yes. I have for every flag, I have a function for update. For maybe I can share the.
What does if need update endpoints look like?
Wait a minute. I can share the. Oh, sorry. Got stuck.
I just wonder whether this if need blah blah functions have many duplicate code, or we could just use one function to calculate all stuff.
I have thought have thought of this, but after many tests, I didn't find a way to I didn't find such way. Which means I need to restart the screen, maybe. Okay. Like this. I have the. You mean these functions?
Yeah. Okay, it looks like it looks clean. Yeah, I think.
Yes, I have a function for every flags. Then also I also at the also they also have a process function for every flag like this. Maybe it's hard to reveal because the change is so big.
Just one minor suggestion: if each flag and each update function, if one flag and one update function has no dependency on others, maybe you could just make one function to update the flows or routes on demand. Maybe you don't need one first calculate all these flags together and check them one by one. So if you then you could just have a few steps. Each step take care of one flow attribute, and it will also do the check itself. So the caller could be more clear. Just one minor suggestion, but maybe let's see when when reviewing the PR.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Any questions?
No, nothing on my side. Just an observation that since we are adding a lot of if statements for these updates, we will also need to reflect that in end-to-end test coverage, which I believe now we need to cover a few more scenarios.
That's a good suggestions. I think I need to add some new to end-to-end test, and but for unit test, I think I have added enough unit test for the refactor, because I just came up with this idea when I wrote unit test for the proxy packet.
Good. So it's good that we already have coverage from a unit test perspective. Good.
Okay, thanks.
I have one other maybe unrelated question. Do we take care of updating endpoints? For example, previously we don't support. I think we don't support bundle add and sorry, what's called that? What a group, the member, how we call it in OS? I mean, incremental updates. Yeah. Buckets. Yeah. Do we take care of buckets incremental update? For example, previously, I think we just updated the whole group. If any endpoints change, right? So could we do that incremental update? When a new endpoint is added to the service, could we just add one bucket using the new OpenFlow 1.5 method?
Oh, no. We don't support that because in for the new OpenFlow, we can just support a very large service, a very large service with many endpoints. For the Delta, you mean the for
But
the you mean the
we
Delta?
do support incremental update. I mean, the library does support incremental update, right? The buckets.
You mean the Delta update?
Yeah.
We don't support that.
I mean, the
think-
library supports it, right?
Yes, library support it, but we don't use it. We don't use this now.
I feel it is probably a more common scenario for service update. Normally, people doesn't change the service class IP or the service type or the node port and the other attributes you listed. But because of the nature of service and endpoints, the endpoints change a lot and very often, right? So I think it would be better to support incremental endpoints update without having to.
I got what you mean. That's very good. That's very good stressed. I think I can add this to the design. Yes, this is a good idea.
I'm not sure how it could benefit the implementation, but if I imagine that if we have a very large service at a scale cluster, it already has, for example, hundreds of endpoints, and one new endpoint is added to the service. If we could calculate the delta and only append one more bucket to the group, I think it should save some CPU cycles and memories to construct the whole endpoints group.
Okay. Yes. Reasonable. I got that. Okay. I'll think about how to implement what you said. Oh, thanks.
Hold on, I have one question about the OpenFlow changes, because you know that Antrea has a cache, memory cache for the installed OpenFlow entries. So even if we found that one attribute is changed, and although the expectation is only one OpenFlow entry is needs updates, but the proxy may send two OpenFlow entries updates to the agent OpenFlow layer, but only one OpenFlow changes is happening on OAS. So I don't think this change will take a much worthy values for Antrea, because that for the connections between Antrea agent to OAS, actually only one OpenFlow related messages are sent. So I don't know if the effort has the values as our expectations.
Yes, we just change the we just change the flows for the single service. Maybe it's not very worse.
Yeah, I don't know if for IP tables or IP sites or the routing configurations, we have some memory cache like OpenFlow entries, but just focusing on OpenFlow entries, I think the work is only happening on the memory, agent memory, but that doesn't take any effect on the OS. That's what my concern.
Okay. Okay. We can discuss it further offline for this reason.
Sounds good then. Are there more questions or comments for Onliang? I'll wait a few more seconds to see if there are other questions. All right, it seems that therefore it's all for this presentation. Holiang, are you planning to include, to propose this change for Antrea 1.10?
If we I have finished the PR, and maybe if I could get enough review comments, and the maintainers approve that, I think it can be merged in 1.10.
Great, that'll be good. Cool. So thanks a lot, Holiang, for this presentation, and I think we can move to the any other topic that we have on the agenda. I mean, we don't have any other topic on the agenda, but if there is any other topic that you would like to propose for discussion, please go ahead. Okay, it seems that there are no other topics. Just a quick announcement from me. You know that last week we released Antrea 1.9 and TIA 0.3. You can check the release notes for new features and changes that have been made in this release. And for the next meeting, I think that we have to be aware that timing might be slightly different. So because Europe is changing this weekend to moving off DST. This means that now since the meeting is based on British time, the meeting in China should shift by 1 hour from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. And I believe that as for the US, since there is only 1 week of difference between the time shift in the US as well, the next meeting should be at 9 p.m. as usual for the US. For China, it will be 1 p.m. until Europe and US switch back to DST next March. So it will be 1 p.m. for the next 5 months. And to say that, I believe that is all from me. And does anyone have anything else to report, to comment, any announcement? Any complaint? Perfect. I believe therefore that's all for today. Thanks everyone for attending, and let's meet again in 2 weeks' time. Thanks a lot, and I wish everyone a great day or a great evening or good night.
Thank you, Salvador. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye.